Good day, my name is Aniel Bezuidenhout, student number 69706174. I have designed an assessment tool or a revision tool. It can be used in either situation for languages that incorporates mathematics. This tool was inspired by a TikTok user called DM_Voracle, as well as the time I spent last year tutoring a first grader student. I am also using a paper published in 2001 called Engaging Students in the Learning Process with Game-Based Learning, the Fundamental Concepts. I use that specifically when determining the aspects of class engagement, accessibility, as well as critical thinking, etc. at the end of my presentation. So my idea focuses on the gamification of the assessment or revision. Gamification is defined by Merriam-Webster as the process of adding games or game-like elements to something, in this case an assessment or revision, to encourage participation. The game is called Defeating the Monster, or whatever you want to call it, similar to that, and a student's little whiteboard that they use is then transformed into a battlefield. At the front of the class you have a monster that the learners will need to defeat, as well as their health points, a number written on the board. You will then divide the learners into groups, usually around 4 or 5, whatever works for your classroom, and each group should come up with a group name, as well as they will then be given health points as well. So how is this played? This is based on the learner's spelling assignment, the spelling words that they are given by yourself during the week, at the end of the week, either before the test to revise them, or it can be used as an assessment to see how well the class is doing. Each group each learner is then presented with whichever word they are supposed to spell. For example, sneeze. They then each have to write down the word on their whiteboards or on pieces of paper if that is more accessible to you. The ones who spell these words correctly have the opportunity to roll a 6-sided dice. That dice, each learner's dice is then added up together in the group, which is an opportunity for them to practice addition within their group, and that number is related to the teacher. That total is then, each group's total is then subtracted from the health points of the monster. The goal is to get the monster's health points to 0 to defeat them. After a few turns are taken, where each turn is a spelling word, you can introduce the monster taking an attack turn against the groups, or one group, where a group or the class is assigned a more difficult word, one that they have not yet learned. For example, if you are focusing on SH words that week, you might introduce a slightly more difficult one, which they were not given to learn during the week. In between these turns, learners can then decide whether or not they want to use their points from the spelling words to attack the monster, or to take a turn where these numbers that they have added are taken as healing for their group and is added back to their health pool after it has been subtracted. So when they spell, during the monster's attack round, when they spell something incorrectly, they roll the dice, and that total is then subtracted from their health points. Should they then the next turn, or a few turns later, when their health is starting to run low, decide during one of the turns they want to instead add it to healing, it adds in a problem-solving kind of decision-making process into the activity. When it comes to the various benefits, I believe that there is a deep learning benefit because it is cross-curricular. It incorporates both your language skills, your spelling skills, as well as some basic mathematic reinforcement, and it turns it from just a lesson into an experience. The learners also receive instant feedback. Their success is very visible. When they succeed well, they take away numbers from the monster's health points. When they fail, they lose health points. And a mistake also affects the whole group, which feels like it adds a little bit of accountability towards their learning process, and that they can learn from their errors and might motivate them to try a little harder the next week. Each learner also gets the opportunity to contribute, even those who might be struggling. On the ones they do get correct, they get to roll the dice, which adds an exciting factor, because even if you only get correctly spell a few words, you might roll very high on the dice. When it comes to class engagement, I think that this changes something from passive rote memorization, just sitting down, doing an individual assessment or a revision, relearning these words, into something a bit more exciting and fun. You have a shared goal. One can even encourage competitiveness between the various groups. Who comes out of it with the most health points, which team contributes the most damage. And obviously, if you're someone like me who loves Dungeons and Dragons, where this is based on, you can also incorporate a story. These are brave warriors fighting against a monster. Suddenly, their task of learning spelling and practicing mathematics aren't just school activities. They're a fun adventure. They are, like all education is, a tool to use towards their victory in the classroom and in life. When it comes to accessibility, you are engaging with various students. For example, your visual learners can quite enjoy being able to see a visual representation up on screen of the monster they're defeating. For example, here I have a little dragon mini that they might be able to fight. Another teacher might download a picture or print a picture. An artistic teacher might be able to draw a picture of something. Teachers who can't access any of that could ask students to close their eyes and visually see the monster and describe it to them. Auditory hearers also engage through group discussions. For example, you have to present to your group, hey guys, we need to take a turn to heal ourselves. Our health points are very low, and they can discuss and debate that amongst each other. Obviously, for your kinesthetic learners, rolling a dice, writing on the whiteboard, on a small whiteboard on a piece of paper, and this is a game they're actively participating in. So I think it's quite accessible there. It's also quite accessible, I think, for learners who might struggle with confidence in their skills as well as in public speaking. Because it is group work, it creates a kind of safe space there and can help them build self-esteem. If there is some issues accessing something like a dice for each student, there are several ways to download ideas on how to build dice for the students out of cardboard and glue. And obviously pictures, imagination, there are all various options that can be used for that. When it comes to critical thinking, these learners aren't just memorizing lists of words to spell. They are making real-time, real-life decisions. Should we heal? Should we attack? And making these decisions. I think that being able to add to your team's success is really using those things to strategize and add to your team's success can help there. That touches on analysis. What is our current health? Should we take the risk of attacking again? The monster's health is really low. We can go for the attack without worrying about our own health. Evaluating the risk between those things and planning ahead. When should we take our healing turns? When should we go for an attack? And at the end of the activity, obviously, there's a reflection not only from the learners, not only on their own achievements with the spelling and the mathematics, but also on how should we do this next time. I think another way you can incorporate it is as a in-class decor. I, for one, would completely decorate my class in a fantasy setting to really incorporate this holistically into their classroom setting. I believe that this activity is kind of a playful, low-pressure place to give learners a chance to develop their mathematical skills at the same time as their language skills, as well as some social skills and decision-making skills. And it is also done collaboratively, and I think that strengthens the learners' reasoning as well as their group work and teamwork skills. Thank you very much for watching this. Have a good day.